And my presentation, it's called Best Practices Showcases, and what's coming next with the UE4, Unreal Engine 4. Yep. So content-wise, we'll have a bunch of sections which you can read about, but basically consists of three big parts. The first of them is about the projects we have in the pipeline at this point, like in different categories: big games, smaller games, indie games, mobile games, which all are good examples of what we're capable and what other companies are capable to achieve with an engine. The second one, the second section is pretty much plans for the next couple of quarters, what we have in the works from the point of view of development of technology, and what we have in mind to improve to work with the developers as developers, and what kind of assistance would like to provide as well. Also the third section is a number of what I called simple cases, which are three prototypes, small videos. Me and a couple of my friends have built together in very short terms that are a living existence, that you can achieve simply some stuff, so UE4, like in different categories and with different kind of ambitions. Yes, and all of the rest is just ways and things of collaborating with developers we have outside of the standard what people put in licensing. So, shall we start? Well, my name is Aleksey Savchenko. I've been in the industry for around 16 years, so it's been quite an adventure. I've started in different positions, from narrative designer and the producer. Worked for a PR executive manager in a company called GC Game World, probably heard about. Been working for some time in Voxter. After that, went to a startup and built a company called Blackwing Foundation, from basically 5 to 100 people. The company is built around Unreal Engine 3 at the point, now UE4. And after that, I've been offered by Epic Games to join the position of technical evangelist, which I took. Spent 1 year in this position and then been promoted to a licensing manager and moved to Guildford in the UK. So that probably explains why. It says UK, at the presentation thing. And but originally I'm from here. I'm from the Ukraine. Signature points. There are basic snippets that define the technology and pretty much encompassing what we're all about. So, Unreal Engine 4 is something you can pick it up and use for free. You can do it really quickly. Just go for a website, get the last version with the launcher, get the open source code from the GitHub, start modifying it, making it whatever you want, like using the professional toolset that Unreal Engine series of the engine is well known for. The engine develops organically with no fragmentation. That means that all of the tools and all of the plugins and all of the content comes through reviewing and certifying in Epic Games. So it's literally impossible that would be a case that, let's say, engine would progress from version 4.10 to 4.11 and some tools would stop working. That cannot be happening. Supports all major platforms which Epic is pretty much well known about, from the Unreal Engine 3. Blueprints is a visual system of scripting that allows you to connect blocks together and program in logics without actually being an engineer. And a couple of examples I have, down the presentation, it pretty much shows how to do it effectively. VR definitely have been a focus for us for some long time at this point. We achieved great results over there. We have VR editor, and we have a bunch of really good-looking products from the third parties at this point, and some of them being done by us in Epic. That just proves that fact. So, just really quickly on the road so far, we, as an engine and as a company, were at 20 years at this point. People tend to forget this sometimes, but Epic Games is also a developer of games, right? Not just middleware licensing company. We have 4 games in development at this point: Fortnite, Paragon, and it's Spy Jinx, which is a mobile game which is in development by Chair, and it's Unreal Tournament at this point. Obviously, for all these games, we're using UE4, and we're trying to implement the best practices that we have in the development to the engine. It's been like this, and just not really reading from this slide. What's an importance over there is that really important part of Unreal Engine 4, like one of the keystones, like on the development. After an announcement in May 2012, it's been in 2015 March 2, just before the GDC, we have announced that the engine went free, so that means that you can go download it, pick it up, no upfronts, now advanced system of money, 5% gross on the backend, which is discussable. And a lot of people really started to use it. Like, it progressed for a year to a point where at the last E3 this year, and then following up Gamescom, we had more than 100 of games being announced at 2 shows. And some of these games are like fairly amazing. I mean, like, you can, I cannot put all of the slides, like, I'll put all of the logos on the slides, so I'm putting just some of the examples. So Gears of War, well known, like working with the franchises. We Happy Few, an amazing game, really popular at this team at this point, making like pretty good, decent money using UE4. Tekken, Injustice, Mortal Kombat. I mean, for some reason, logically, it went down to a point where almost all of the fighting games, like now, is a UE 3.5 or a UE4. Abzu is a great game about Ocean, being released to Steam, being released to PS Store. Like, if you haven't played it, play it. It's just aesthetically beautiful. Not just big games, indie games, like a lot of these as well. Indie is a sketchy term these days. There are independent studios that just have been formed by 3-5 people who has not really have any experience, and there are indie studios which are indie with a composite experience of 5-6 people or 100 years. I mean, like, so it could be really different, and it has like both here. Like, for example, Abduction is done by quite an experienced bunch of people. Like, if you haven't checked this game, like, check it as well. Like, it looks really cool. Insomnia is an interesting example because that's a company, that's a game which is in development by a small Russian company, under 10 people, not super experienced. I mean, but having some experience, and they actually won of the Unreal development grants and continued their developments. Also, the game is well known for winning Kickstarter 2 times in a row. Like, and it's quite interesting. It's like Fallout in space thing, like, so kind of anticipating it. And mobile games. For some reason, and I'm figuring out that this is because people heard about Unreal Engine 3 before, how to license it, and how to use it for mobiles. People kind of transfer it to mobile field as well, and I'm having in my conversations constantly that, oh yeah, but we're a mobile developer, and Unreal Engine 4 is probably not the best choice. I think it's a little bit of mythology, because like we have a bunch of examples proving that if you have a mid-core to hardcore game for mobile platforms or a plan for developing such a game, there is a number of cases that shows that you can totally go and do that, like many other companies did before. Like, just to mention a few as well, Blade 2 is a continuation of a Korean RPG game, the first part of which made over $80 million in Korea solely. Final Fantasy mobile version gonna be using UE4. Final Fantasy VII Remake from big games, like, it's also using UE4. And Lineage 2, actually, gonna be mobile, gonna be using Unreal Engine 4. And just to have a short video, like with more of these projects, if we can run it, please. Yeah, that's our E3 teaser that quickly shows like some of the games we've been announced, like in this year. That's the GDC one. So obviously there's Paragon, which we announced, released. It just went through open beta, like, and it's basically accessible to everybody now at this point. That's Blade 2, just mentioned. That's mobile. It looks fairly amazing. Big franchises using Unreal Engine as well, like Assassin's Creed platformer, like 3 games that recently released, like it's using Unreal Engine 3 at a point. That's Bullet Train VR game in production by Epic Games. Like, for some reason, a lot of mech trends going on these days. Like, through a lot of these games. That's mobile as well. It's using Vulkan Video. Fighting games. Henry VR actually got Emmy Prize the Hedgehog thing, and a bunch of other prizes just recently, which is a big achievement. It's mobile. This robot game, actually, we'll touch it a little bit later. It's been developed in Ukraine and in Dnipropetrovsk in partners with Russian studio. Induction. The Lawbreakers Cliff Bleszinski studio game, which is in development, going to be released quite soon. Well, and lots of other cool stuff, you know, like, so just come on, like, to the next slide. So, games are great, but Unreal Engine 4 being not just in gaming industry at this point. You can see that we've been quite active at the enterprise business. A lot of automotive companies like BMW, Nissan, you know, like Ford uses Engine for a visualization, and constructors basically of in configurator of cars. Tesla uses it as well. SpaceX uses this. NASA is using it for scientific purposes. And well, internal running joke is that if you're thinking about if you should use an engine or not and take skills in Unreal Engine being a developer, probably you should, because if you will get tired of games, you can go to SpaceX and build rockets, you know, like, so, you know, like, and that would be quite useful skills to have. There's another video here, we'll skip it, like VR and AR. Like I mentioned, that's been a huge focus for us. It's a bunch of different directions we're working to, and I have a separate slide, you know, like, to elaborate on this whole thing. It's also indie studios. It's Hollywood companies who are heavily using an engine, not just for, you know, gaming and advertising purposes, but for small PR products that they accompany films with. It's a big entertainment consensus that's using VR, you know, for that kind of products. It's a lot of small developers, some of them quite successful, which we'll discuss later. And before we come to things to come in Unreal Engine 4, just quickly mentioning what we have at the 4.13 that's been developed just recently. There are a lot of new rendering features being introduced, which is quite cool. It's getting to an end of the year, so we do like a lot of housekeeping, you know, like making the things working better, like less bugs, more productivity. Sequencer has been uploaded with a lot of things. If you've been following SIGGRAPH, you maybe saw a presentation over there. Sequencer is a tool that allows you to build movies and basically interactive storytelling experience on the fly, combining animation tools, directing tools, and the presentation things. You know, like, and you kind of like getting it like on the fly to a point where you can build videos and movies and stuff. Alembic supports being introduced, and we know that a lot of people have been asking for this for some time. Now it's there, which is great for everybody working in enterprise and the gaming field as well. For mobile developers, dynamic shadows have been optimized, which has been quite an issue, especially for Android development. You know, like now it's not. Now it's so good. And from the VR perspective, like there are capsule shadows. It's a generally big update. Like one of the things to mention about is actually Unreal Engine and Epic is known for getting out a lot of game templates to the market, which are typically genre or platform connected. And this is something with open sources and like something you can pick it up and start using, building your own experience. We haven't had one for VR, and now we have it called VR Funhouse. If you working in a VR field, like go and check it out. It's quite cool. And VR editor been heavily improved. Like you know what it's all about, right? I mean, like it allows you to actually use VR to build level design things, and now you can build one and immediately play it from the editor, which is quite an achievement. now about tomorrow's plans for development. It's typically known that it's around 2 to 3 months between every engine version for us for Unreal, and so that means that there will be another version this year, probably somewhere around November. We would be concentrating around a number of things. From the point of view of blueprint, it's going to be like a lot of improvement and more stability, more work on a profiler and a blueprint to C++ converter, plus general optimization. Vulkan, Niagara, and material systems are indefinite focus. Like, we had a lot of questions about the Vulkan because the Protostar demo has been outside and it looks like an amazing console experience using mobiles. And so we're thinking about pushing out the demo, you know, like when it will be ready, and we hope it's gonna happen soon so everybody can get hands on it. A lot of mobile platform features actually are coming in the new build as well. Like, it's one of the general focuses at this point. And already existing one gonna be improved. Definitely a lot of stuff in VR, including landscape editor tools. And so rendering optimization, development of the whole VR editor again. More ZK and platform supports. Like the next one, I wanted to point this out because it's quite interesting. We are noticing that a lot of our third-party developers actually taking a combination of animation, sequencer, and blueprints and building this internal blueprint editors, you know, like which allows you to build narrative storytelling experiences, and that works quite effective. So, like, that's on the top of the head. And like recently, we showed a lot of games using PSVR on the PlayStation 4 Neo presentation, and like a lot of support would be added for this particular aspect. More opportunities for developers, and this is something I particularly work at in Guildford, my position. Like, aside of just licensing you a technology, we're constantly thinking about how we can help you as a developer to make you more successful, make more money, because we would make more as well if you will do. So this is like partnership relationships with a little bit of pragmatic touch. We're thinking about multiple education and special projects initiatives worldwide for the next year. Like this year already, there's been a bunch of educational workshops in Moscow and in Minsk, probably. Like, we're talking with Kiev, and actually tomorrow at Sunday, there is a lecture in Games Academy about using UE4, and Game Academy is our partner at this point. We have massive marketplace updates coming. Like, there's content, there's blueprints, schemes and models and templates you could be using. And there are also a lot of plugins from the third-party APIs. Like, we have a bunch of this planned for the next year and for beginning of the next one. And that's your third-party services, you know, like analytics, networks, stuff, processing maybe, you know, like we know that a lot of them works, and they're going to be presented soon. Supporting developers with more show presences and visibility. I mean, like, developers we identify having a cool project or coming to a custom license on a custom terms with us. What we typically do in Europe, now it's 3 shows. It's Nordic Games, it's developed in Brighton, and it's EGX Rest in the UK. We organize these pavilions, and if you have a UE4 game, you can apply to us, and we can get you a slot at this UE4 pavilions presentation parts, which gives you an extra marketing support and visibility to show your game to press with people, publishers, and stuff and everything. We're thinking about expanding this to a bunch of different shows, which we're in negotiations at. And like, once we'll have something, that will be announced. You know, but that's, I guess this is definitely good news, because that's a lot of more extra visibility for free or for Virtue. Developing new variations and types of custom licensing office and options to feed studio contacts. I mean, not everybody knows that, but we have this 5% gross licensing, right? And this is public, you know, you can go and do that, having the engine for free and then using it. But we do recognize and understand as well that different companies and studios have different contexts, right? I mean, so, and let's say somebody would not be interested in 5 gross %, but would be interested to discuss how to get to a lower percentage net, you know, like, and maybe pay some advances, or go for some, like, we would use technology for 5 games, we want to buy it out and stuff. And we're definitely open for all of these proposals and discussions. And custom deals for us means that if you have in mind, like something different from 5% growth, and you still want to use an engine, but you have some different restrictions, we can discuss this, and we can develop a deal for you, actually. And we're looking for more options and opportunities in this field. More efforts in providing effective means of communication for UE4 developers to have access to more lucrative deals and IP licensing. By that, I mean that right now at this point we have a bunch of conversations with people who hold some IPs. If you have a product using UE4 and that product fits the concept and ideology of some strong IP in some, let's say, publisher catalog, right? Like EA, Square Enix, whatever, like guys, right? And you want to attach your game to this IP and be a part of your development, we can probably make an introduction that can work for you. If you're thinking about taking some smaller IP, like comic license, like maybe some smaller movie or whatever, like something that can make your product more strong and marketable, we can probably get you to these guys as well, or at least to an agents who would help you to get to these guys. So we do this kind of introduction for our developers as well. Being even more proactive in assisting in introduction to help getting publishing deals. Like that's fairly easy, like there is a lot of demand from, if you're looking for a publishing deal at all, if you're interested in a partner at all, and you're going for some show, or we have a number of closed events through the year, like you can let us know. If you're using UE4, we'll introduce you to these people and with good references, and there is a good opportunity that you would actually can get this deal. We do that as well. VR and AR, like it's a lot of text on this slide, you can check it out and read it. Like I'll just say simply, like it's at this point we're already quite there, and most of the products that are successful and high quality, like with VR field in different diversified platforms, like projects is Unreal Engine 4. Like the first project to get $1 million, like in the first months. It's actual raw data. It's an HTC Vive using UE4. A couple of shows coming this time, like this year at the Q4s, right? And there are nominations. Like I'd say at the Proto show, we have 12 projects through, I think 12 projects through 17 nominations at this point. PSVR recently showed what kind of project and development they have, and we've been pretty much rocking the scene, like with our developers showing the stuff using for a PSVR set. We have a bunch of other announcements at the end of the year, because most of the VR shows at the end of the year, so there's a lot of very cool things coming, and there's a lot of projects that's going to be released. And by the brands who are using it, by the different companies that are using it, you can pretty much draw the conclusion that's happening for some reason. And reason is, because of the open source code, you can get to the high frame rate. It helps you to produce like super high quality of graphics and actual experience. It's consistent, it helps you to drive the innovation, and if you're a perfectionist and if you're a game developer, you really should be, like that's probably the best tool to use to do something which you would be proud of. So, and just quickly, like on the AR, there is actually AR support plugin called Unreal to VR to AR. You can go download it and start playing around that. If somebody is into AR thing already, like it's quite cool. I mean, there are also some demos on the internet with the small soldiers fighting on a table, like on an office table, which looks amazing. Like check it out. Now, simple cases. Like I said, some people would be intimidated, and I also have this conversation which are like, oh yeah, there are these examples, like in the marketplace, but they've been done by Epic, and that's obvious, how you use your engine, or that's been done by these super big and super experienced companies. Not sure we can pull it off, and precisely for that, when I started to work with Epic, I have a couple of friends, and what we typically would do, they're like from Ukraine, Russia, whatever, like all of them like 3, 4, 5 years developers experience guys. Sometimes we just get together and start building small prototypes that solve some definite problem and that proves that engine is good for something. So we call it simple cases. And I have 3 of them. We will quickly run through all of them, and if you have some particular questions or on each or any, like you can just approach me, we can have a conversation. I can send you off materials, and we can obviously discuss this if that's something you kind of like looking for. So simple cases RPG. This is your typical XCOM type of the game. We built like in 3 weeks, I think. Initially the PC with the plans to get it to Androids and the iOS, and we discovered a bunch of problems associated, which we basically solved, like in this short period of time. And in the end, we had 3 cases, like 3 builds, all of them working pretty fine, all of them looking okay, like because sometimes you need to like make it less lucrative, let's say Android, but you can compensate it by using different tools and post processes and stuff. Pretty much this. I mean, how much time do we have? I'm just trying to understand if we can run all these videos. 5 minutes. All right, guys. Like we'll skip videos. Then. We don't have time for it. But like I said, I have all of these materials. If you want to check them out, if you want me to send you those, like, well, definitely let's do that. So the next case, this robot game that I've been showing, like at the sizzle reel, is, if you will, this is a World of Tanks Blitz UE4 robots First World War I game, like for mobiles. It's very close to an end of the development. It's been developed in Ukraine, the Black Wing Foundation company called Stone Solid. Now it's in play tests, and it solved a bunch of things. And the prototype we've been developing under this game is the whole case of checking how easy it is or how hard it is to get the game from Unreal Engine 3 to Unreal Engine 4. So I can say that the small group of people, 6-7 people I think, was able to pull off the trick of the game being in the middle of development to be transformed from UE3 to UE4 with great result. And if you're interested to discuss how you do that, like we can provide you some points, like what are the best practices in this case. Like that thing was done by a bat as well, and it's been me and a couple of my buddies, both designers, no engineers, and the idea was to create a JRPG experience that would have a world map, a battle mode system, bunch of skills, dialogue system, without actually writing a line of code. So we achieved that under a week in 6 days, using only blueprints, marketplace animations, materials and stuff, and mostly Infinity Blade things, which are free now at this point. And yeah, and here it goes. I mean, like, there's also, some materials and stuff, and like, I can send it to you if you want. Now, just quickly finalizing this, I really wanted to touch on a bunch of things, which is a typical part of my presentation. Just once again reiterating, like how it is to use Unreal Engine 4 as a technology and what it is to work with Epic Games as a partner. Like your success is our success, as we said. We do identify, we do understand that if there is a revenue share relationships, it's our job as a partner to help you get successful with your game, and we do a wider range of tools to actually get you there, guys. Providing support and assistance, Unreal Development Grants, like really quickly. We opened this program recently, like a year and a half, I think, and the whole idea is that we have $5 million, like no strings attached, we're gonna be giving to developers for chunks of up to 50 grants to one hand. It could be 15, 18, 25, like, but whatever. To apply for these grants, you should have a UE4 product in development, obviously, not the developed to an end. Pitch document, short video, a playable prototype. The general rule is the less the better, like it shouldn't be a lot of stuff. And you can send it to Unreal Development Grants and follow up me so I can just make sure that it's there, like, and it's all cool. And you have quite a legit chance to win one of these grants. When we started it, there's been a lot of examples from Ireland, like, but now we have a couple of grants being awarded from CIS countries. There is a couple of very good applications from Ukraine at this point we're looking at. 2 from Russia, like 1 from Minsk, probably gonna get it. So we can say that it's 2 at this point, gonna be 5 maybe, like if competition would allow that. Like, we'll see. Support from Epic Games in the crowdfunding and passing green light for media. So what we do is like marketing help is pretty much encompassed into a number of activities that we help our developer with. Like, first of all, we use our social media channels, which is a lot of like SMM, Twitter, support, Facebook, like Instagram, all groups, all of the stuff. We help to promote your title if you get it to a point where you want to draw some extra attention. Let's say this is a green light release, or this is a Kickstarter campaign being announced, like this kind of stuff. So we would try to help you on coverage. General press communication assistance. If you need to be introduced with your UE4 title to some specific press people, like let's say from regions, right? I mean, like you don't know, like anybody or whatever, you can ping me and we help to do these intros, to talk to media people. Featuring titles, stands at the shows, which I mentioned. We do have special projects like E3 Showcase, for example. I mean, like if you've been following the news or if you've been interested. So what we did is that at the E3, at the announce of these like 83 products, we recorded a number of interviews with the developers, and we've been posting it, like on our websites and a bunch of different places over weeks after the show, which extra marketing as well. Collaborative presentation of products at other shows and events like Sizzle Reel, right? I mean, like this is a third-party thing, and all of the games are there is done by somebody. If you have something cool, you can send it to us as well. You can get to next Sizzle Reel. This is a good product. Different kind of special projects that pop up through the year. I mean, this is not something you can commit and promise on, but occasionally 2-3 times a year we would have an ideas that let's do that. And that will be aimed to help devs, like to get the products to get some extra attention. And you probably should just follow the blog and the website and stuff, and you could probably be a part of that as well. Development support, I mean, just quickly touching that we have a bunch of things. We have forums, we have Answer Hub, which is a place you can post all of the questions, and you will get answers. And this is how it works, and this is quite a live community at this point. It's actually getting quite crowded because I think that the official numbers we're saying at this point is over 2 million people using UE4, so that's quite a community, but at the same time, it means that the same people could probably have an answer to you and they would provide this answer. We also have UDN, which is Unreal Development Network. It's a premium support you're not getting with a free engine, but this is something we could discuss as a part of a custom deal that usually really helps developers, like who are up to more of ambitious aims as well. We have documentation and wiki. Well, that's kind of obvious. Like from the introduction for the last 3-4 months, we also have a Jira, which can help tracking bugs and mistakes posted, like on the engine. And at this point, we're thinking about some extra regional support, or at least these are discussions going on inside the company. Like I've been mentioning before, if you have a language problem, I mean, because most of that stuff is in English, right? I mean, like you can try to get in touch with me, and I'm kind of like in conversation with a lot of third-party developers who are from here, and usually as a part of the community, they don't mind helping, giving advice to you if you cannot run English and use the services by yourself. So this is at least, like we can do for you guys. Licensing flexibility, I could pretty much talked on that, and I think we don't really have a lot of time, to elaborate. But like I said, I mean, like if you kind of specific, about what kind of deal you want to have, just get in touch with me, and we'll try to figure out something after writing an NDA. This is a super fast and effective process. Just drop me a line, information about company, your technical and business contact. We'll draft an NDA, and we'll discuss what can provide for you, and how this can work between companies. Introduction assistance, yes, always, if you need some interest, we do that. I mean, like one of the important things here is not mentioned like at the previous one, financial partners. We are in a bunch of conversations with people and funds as well who potentially are interested in investing money in projects that are on a side of development where it's half and more down the road down. So we're not discussing like concepts, right? But if there is an existing prototype and something you can actually show to people, well, essentially saying if you have an application for a grant, this is a package enough to actually show it for somebody who would may be interested in investing money for you to continue and finish this product. So we can discover this, and work on these opportunities as well if you have something. And questions? All right, we have some. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thanks.
I'd like to ask, does Epic Games going to add Microsoft HoloLens support for Unreal Engine?
That's a tricky one. I mean, like, well, yeah, obviously, you know, like we're working on providing support to as many platforms as possible. I think that that will be coming because the platform is popular, you know, like, but I cannot really commit on any time estimates at this point. I mean, so yes, when, I don't know.
Hey, Alexey.
Hey.
I have a few questions.
Sure.
What about blueprints? Yeah, I can't use blueprints, but if I want optimized game, I should switch to the C++.
Not obviously switching. I think one of the best practices that we're seeing developers using more and more at this point. You know, like we have this tool introduced in the previous version of the engine called Blueprint to C++ conversion. It's not working perfectly, but it works. You know, like you can work around some stuff. And the general idea is that when your game gets too heavy because of the blueprints, because they quite hidden productivity, you know, like of the application or the game. What you do, you just start transferring the blueprint classes to the C++. And essentially, it's not that hard. And you don't really have to be an engineer for it, because like we have this manual, so how to do it step by step and stuff, you know. And because like blueprints, on the back end of that, it's still the same C++ classes, right? I mean, like, and on an optimization, you just go pause by pause and just converting it into the C++ part. Like, and that's how typically you do that.
Okay, I get it. Another question. Unreal Engine is like all-in-one tool, but it can replace tools such as Blender or 3D Max.
Well, if we're talking about the free part of that, right? I mean, like Art Pipeline works quite easily. You should have an OBJ or an FBX file that you can just throw into an engine and then work with the materials. Like talking on more of a wider perspective of it, we have plugins, right? So you literally can add stuff. And some people went quite far with this, right? I mean, like I saw weirdest configurations of things, but we get all of the plugins certified, so usually it works fine. Like on a level of very good example of what we can achieve by, you know, like working with the ecosystem of an engine, Arc Survival Evolved, for example, they have a mod tool, which is like a micro engine thing, you know, like you can give away for like users to use it to build mods of their game. So you can do that, for example, right? And so you can remodify stuff. You know, and like I said, you can use plugins, which is a super effective and quick procedure, because like all of the source code is open, you know, like you just get the code from the GitHub. Some of them are free, some of them sell for money on Marketplace. Just get it in. It takes you a couple of days to get it working, like maximum, you know, sometimes like a couple of hours.
Okay, and the last two questions. Vulkan, when? And can I use Unreal Engine on Linux?
For Vulkan, like I said, like it's working on the devices, and we've been showing this at the shows, right? I mean, like the question is probably when can you get your hands on the same like sources of the Protostar and actual Protostar demo. I think the steps there would be like first Protostar as a demo should be presented to the Galaxy store, you know, obviously, so people would download it like it used to be happening with the Zen Garden, and we're working on it. Like it's definitely in closest plans. Like speaking about the actual giving away, you know, like all of the stuff used for people, it would take some time, and I cannot tell you a date, but that's definitely in focus, right? I mean, like it's Vulkan, Sequencer, VR, Material Editor, and a couple of other stuff is something we're highly concentrated at. And the last question? Huh? Unreal Engine? Linux? It's been a community project for some time, and there is a support, right, for it. I see, the last time I checked it, it's been 3 or 4 months ago, and they've been doing this whole thing, you know, like a packaging for Ubuntu, right? I mean, like, and that's been in the process. So I think you can definitely download the source code or go and check the progress in this segment, and that could be quite there. You know, I just don't know. But you know, like I know that some people actually build the editor under Linux, you know, and been using it, but that's obviously implying some hands works, you know, you should as a developer.
Thanks for the speech.
Thank you.
Hi.
It's been a pleasure.
What about the future development of Pepper 2D?
Working on it. I mean, like it's a lot of people using it. Like as you've been seeing this from the sizzle reel, right? I mean, like there is a bunch of platformers and it's a bunch of games, you know, like operating like on the basis of the platform with some 3D or 2D graphics, you know, like, and that's a development of this particular tool is mostly pushed by the developers who are using it, and when they're coming up with some cool stuff, we definitely would support that to get it like in a plugin. So I hope that qualifies as the question, you know, because it's something that not we're up to, but devs, and I cannot forecast the terms of the development.
So thanks for the speech. Absolutely loved the JRPG part. Would love to take a look at material,
sure.
landscape master material, because it gets tricky. So there was a question about plugins, and I would like to highlight Alexander Shatelov's All Right rig, if you have seen it, because it's free of charge now, and it gets the toolset for rigging.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. I mean, it's actually, yeah. I mean,
so there are some community-made tools which extend
the whole like rigging things, animation thing. Yes, I mean, like we're I just got one of our developers sending me a link, you know, like for that, being like, oh my God, have you saw that? You know, I'm like, yeah, that's freaking cool. You know, like absolutely, like it's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hey.
Alexey, thank you very much for the speech. It
Thank
was
you.
great. Yes, so we also do our game on Unreal Engine. Yes, so because we found it really useful. And I have heard, not read, a lot about your support of the developers. What you said, yes, so that you actually choose somehow the development studios, so especially young studios. I think people are, or young studios are quite interested in your support, money support, and so on. And what is the, how to say, minimum viable product you wanted to get, or it's just demo, it's just video to take the and how you choose it? Should it be actually you support your platform? It's like Apple, yes. So when you want to get some AAA games to choose or not, can it be kind of platform or a kind of easy game, done on the Unreal to support it?
Per se, I mean, like it should be something that drives the innovation and shows the original use of Unreal Engine. You know, like if you would show a relatively small but cool in a gameplay game for Android, you know, like that qualifies. I mean, like sometimes it could be just something how you drive technology nuts in some different direction, you know, like with it, and it could be just like boxes and stuff. But if it gets like superb, like on some particular aspect, you know, like that works. So that's the general criteria to it, right? I mean, like we've been working with a bunch of studios for the last year, and like I said, the most effective way to do that. Like, here's the general problem first. Like, a lot of developers from, like, Eastern Europe and, like, CIS countries, they overdo things. So they're trying to deliver a build which is 1 hour long and everything is not done, you know, like, and it doesn't actually show anything. What I implore you to do is just go for a 5-10 minutes build that shows only greatest things that you're sure about. Because that's speaking about your approach to things in much more quality way than you show just a bunch of stuff that been in development, you know, like it's better. And when you have this like 5 to 10 minutes prototype, just get a director in you, get the sequencer, you know, like and make a great video that shouldn't be long as well. Like, trust me, this is just on a general life advice. Nobody watches teasers which are more than 1 minute and 30 seconds max. Like it should be 40 to 1 minute. You know, like, and if it's impressive and striking, you know, like, then you get their attention enough for people to play your build. Like, so that's kind of the thing. Have a good cover letter, like 3 passages, introducing yourself, again, a good proper English, like introducing yourself, telling, like, why do you apply, what do you need this money, and shortly describing your product, and that's it, you know, like, and with these 3 things, you're probably looking good for it. And moreover than that, if you have these 3 things and you have a good pitch document, this is a good package for you to actually go everywhere, you know, like and try pitching your product, getting partners money and stuff. So it's all the same.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. No? Well, if there are no questions, thank you very much for coming. It's a lot of you. Thank you.